you were born in Cuba, you attended high school in Japan, and you majored in a foreign language in college. And I was just curious about how your multicultural upbringing shapes the way you build bridges and how you courageously advocate for artists and actors.
Awareness is important. If you could just, when you go home, read about what this embargo thing is, because it's not just that the United States will not allow any trade with Cuba, but they will also disallow other countries with whom we trade to trade with Cuba. The U.S. fined over $1 billion to a French bank for doing transactions with Cuba. So if you could educate yourselves about that. As a result of this decades-long embargo that the U.S. has imposed upon my birth island of Cuba, as a result of the cruel sanctions, artists on the island are literally having to navigate hunger. There are shortages of food, shortages of water, shortages of gas and electricity, power outages that last hours, day upon day. Cuba, especially Santiago de Cuba, is in a dire economic crisis. In the last 3 years alone, 10% of Cuba's population has left the island for reasons of survival. And yet, these amazing Cuban artists on the island, despite the extreme scarcity of resources, despite the lack of materials, despite their basic human needs going unmet, these outstanding artists push through the poverty to produce the most profound, provocative, poignant, and truly beautiful intellectual works of art. And they create it prolifically. Talk about resilience, talk about courage, talk about soul-filled power. These amazing Santiago de Cuba artists need our support to help sustain their creativity, and they need it now. Cuba is just 90 miles from the United States. We're supposed to help our neighbors, not hurt them. Art Roots Mambí is a family-run art project that focuses on creating and sustaining interpersonal relationships between artists in the cities of Santiago de Cuba, where I was born, and in Los Angeles, California, where I live. At the helm are myself, Lili Bernard, and Alberto Lescay, a celebrated interdisciplinary artist in Santiago de Cuba. You can see his monuments all over Cuba. Our children, our hardworking, talented kids are also artists. They are exhibiting interdisciplinary visual artists, filmmakers, animators, accomplished performing artists, poets, rappers, professional musicians, multi-award-winning recording artists who perform around the world. And together we collaborate on various art projects with our artists, Cuban cousins on the island, and with our peers in Los Angeles, California, and in Santiago de Cuba. Our project, Art Roots Mambí, just so that you know a little bit about it, because it's really great. It's not just that it's an intercultural exchange program, as well as a humanitarian aid project, but when you go to our Instagram page, Art Roots Mambí, you'll see there's so much that our country could learn from Cuba. And education, for example, Cuba did a phenomenal literacy campaign. There's like almost no illiteracy in Cuba whatsoever because of this wonderful literacy campaign that they did in Cuba. It's a very, very highly educated island. I have an MFA in art, so when I talk to these Cuban artists, I know how intellectually, how academically these Cuban artists speak. They are really intelligent, really educated, really passionate people. And Santiago de Cuba is like the heart of the culture of Cuba, of music and of art. And these Cuban kids to whom we are giving gifts of musical instruments, art supplies, food, they are so talented. One band that we're collaborating with, AFA's, this jazz band, these kids, and they're like 17 to 22 years old, and they're professionals. And a woman just donated $1,000. And so yesterday, what was I doing with that $1,000? I was going all around town, like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and I bought a trumpet for one of the kids who plays like Miles Davis, even though he's never even owned a trumpet, so he's gonna be surprised. I bought a bass guitar, electric guitar, amps, microphones, keyboards, a violin, guitar strings, saxophone, and clarinet reeds and repair kits, drumsticks, paintbrushes, paint, djembe drums, laptops, iPads, suitcases full of art supplies and essential living items. And we're going to bring this all over, so we do have a fiscal sponsor. So please come to me and I'll show you how you can make a tax-free donation.